Okay, so you've just started year 12 for English. What can you expect and how do you prepare and kind of stay on top of things, stay ahead of things now that you're into year 12 and it's all going to count? So the first thing you're going to be starting off with is the common module. So the common module is a text and human experiences, regardless of whether you're doing standard or advanced, that's the one that you're going to be doing. Obviously, you'll be doing slightly different text depending on the level that you're in. But yeah, you will be doing the common module, text and human experiences. So you will have a set text. So it may be 1984, Pass the Shallows, whatever your set text is, that's the one you're going to be doing in class. For term 4, you are going to have an assessment task that needs a related text. So a related text is basically a text that covers the similar ideas than your set text does. So it should obviously link to the rubric guidelines where, you're looking at the paradoxes and inconsistencies of human behavior and so forth. I'm sure you've got that big long paragraph of information about, what sort of ideas are covered, igniting new ideas, all of that. You are going to need a related text that has similar themes and links well to the rubric. Most students will have a multimodal this term. So that's basically going to be, like a visual representation with like some sort of oral task. So either you'll verbally be giving a speech or you will, maybe be recording something. The key thing to do when you get a multimodal, a slight tangent, is start with the word count you're getting. So if they give you 5 minutes, that's pretty much a standard. Always allocate, or when you're preparing, you want to prepare to say around 170 words per minute. Don't just wing it, actually do write it out totally in terms of drafting, but make sure that you don't write too much and then you're going to run out of time. Okay, so if you roughly plan to have about 170 words per minute, so for 5 minutes, you'll have around 850 words. That's around the perfect amount for you to speak clearly, be able to pause and accentuate certain words, etc., but also cover enough material as well. So you need to kind of balance those two things there, the presentation that you're doing in terms of how you're saying it and the communication that you have, as well as the amount of content that you want to be able to cover in that particular task. So that's going to be term 4. In terms of term 4 assessment, is that it's going to be usually either a set text with your related text, or it might just be on a related text. You may not get asked anything about the set text. However, you want to finish term 4 having prepared or looked at what you would write in an essay that is just on your set text. Because when you come to your trials in HSC next year, so the period when you have trials in HSC, you won't need that related text. You'll just be using the set text. So that's going to be slightly different to what you prepare in term 4. So prepare for your assessment where you've got your related text, but before you finish the year, look at what you would, consolidate your notes on that particular text, and ideally start looking at essay questions and what sort of essay structures you would write. We've got a couple of sample ones on here. If you're doing like Crucible 1984, Merchant of Venice, there's a couple of ones that we have that you can have a look at. But basically, have a look at what you would do for an essay and then get that done before you finish term 4, simply because that's when you're covering the text. If you don't do that work in term 4 of this year, and you wait until sort of, trials next year, imagine then now covering another 3 modules and then going back to what you did in term 4 and trying to remember all of that work. So it's a really difficult thing to do once you get to trials next year. So don't wait till then. By term 4, consolidate everything for the common module. But the paper, once you get to trials in HSC for the common module, it's one whole paper. So you'll be tested on 2 sections there. One is the comprehension. So that's the unseen text. That's out of 20. And then the second one, as I said previously, is going to be an essay just on your set text. So just on 1984, just on Pass the Shallows, just on Billy Elliot, no related text. So that's almost half, 40 out of 100 is going to be what you cover pretty much this term. Then next term for, term 1, you'll either do modules A or B. So usually schools will do module A. So that's your comparative study. So they'll give you 2 texts. You've got to compare them. There's the rubric there for that. You probably have already done something similar to it in a younger year, but that's what you're going to be doing for module A, is the comparison between 2 texts. Module B is critical study of text, and that's just going to be on 1 set text. So a lot of students do T.S. Eliot, but there's a whole range, Good Night and Good Luck, MR, like lots of different ones. So with module B, and we do have a separate one, go have a look at our video on textual integrity. That one's just for module B. That's just on one text. So they're not giving you anything to compare it to. They're not giving you a topic area to look at. Whereas, you know, with common module, you've got text and human experiences that you're specifically looking at. Module A is the comparative, but module B is just on that text, as well as obviously then looking at the context that it was written in, you know, what sort of values or ideas are discussed in that particular text. And they're also going to be expecting you to put in some critical readings. Okay, so critical readings is like when academics write articles on particular texts, and ideally you might just pull out like one sentence or two sentences from like maybe two different critics and pop those into your essay. It should not be overbearing in any way. It should just be a quick reference to something a critic has said. The main focus of that module B is making sure that you put your own personal response in there. So the teachers want to know that you've analyzed it. You haven't just like read a critical reading and you're putting all their views in there, right? So you've got to have your views supported by, you know, some critics. And then we've got your module C, which could either be done as a module in and of itself, like in a particular term, which is the craft of writing, or teachers may scatter it throughout the whole year. So for those of you obviously starting year 12, craft of writing is pretty much a duplication of your reading to write, which you would have done in term 1 of year 11. So that's your imaginative, persuasive, discursive writing. For advanced students, extended students, you should be looking at doing more sort of discursive writing, imaginative, persuasive, sort of a little bit more junior. But in any case, that's the module that you're going to be doing that. So you'll be given a set text. We have quite a few videos on the different set texts that they do. So we've got, you know, a breakdown of Nam Lee, Margaret Atwood. There's a couple of other ones, and we'll be adding new ones as well. But basically, they want you to sort of understand the writing techniques that these composers have used, and then use those in your own ideas. So for module C, keep across what's happening currently. There's so much going on at the moment between obviously Israel and Palestine, the referendum that we just had. Like there's a lot of there are a lot of issues going on that are very current, that it's really good to sort of show that you have a knowledge of, and, you know, do some research into, and potentially use that as a start, you know, some sort of background or, you know, starting point to do either imaginative or definitely a discursive. Lots of discursive things that you could do right now. So discursive is obviously looking at multiple points of view towards a particular issue, but not necessarily making a conclusion. Whereas a persuasive is when you just persuade someone of your point of view. So that's where discursive is slightly more complex and a little bit more advanced. So if you can, you know, kind of do the discursive, that generally does get awarded slightly more marks if you can do it well, because it shows more research understanding, and there's a complexity sort of there. And then of course doing your reflection. So in summation, like you're going to have 2 exams for year 12 for your trials and your HSC. That's basically where you're headed towards. You've got the paper 1 common module comprehension essay. Then you've got paper 2. You've got your comparative essay for module A, your critical study essay for module B, and then for module C is the craft of writing. So that's you're going to be doing a discursive, imaginative, reflection, etc. So that's the whole HSC course. It's just the 4 modules. Sounds kind of straightforward, but obviously it is quite a lot of work. So, you know, each term you'll be given assessments that really like will they're designed to set you up for the trial. So rather than you know, going straight into a spot where you're doing all the papers at once, all the sections at once, which is pretty difficult, especially for paper 2, where you've got 3 completely different modules. They'll be giving you assessments each term to kind of get you ready for each one, and then you've got to sort of bring it all together. So by the end of every term, have your body of work ready to go. So your common module essay for or like sort of notes and structures and so forth. Obviously, if you get help from us, we support you with actually creating those resources for yourself, so that when you get to trials, everything's ready to go. But you know, if you're doing it on your own, you want to have your common module stuff done by term 4, your module A by term 1, term 2 critical study, and then throughout you're going to have the craft of writing. So yeah, hopefully that kind of helps give you a bit of an idea of what to expect. You know, we specialize in HSC tutoring at Ignite Your Learning. I've been teaching HSC students for the last 20 years, and my tutors are amazing at preparing students for you know, just staying on top of everything, making sure everything's completed each term, so that when you come to trials, you're just ready. You know, you don't have to stress and start looking back and forward and so forth, because, you know, you haven't done the HSC, but we definitely have. So if you do want any extra help, obviously contact us, book a trial, www.ignitelearning.com.au, and we've got heaps of resources on YouTube. So yeah, keep an eye out, and yeah, hopefully we can support you throughout the year.